If you're spending money on loot boxes, prize wheels, or ultimate team packs in 2026, you're not being treated like a gamer. You're being treated like a gambling addict, and the entire industry knows it. Brazil banned loot boxes for anyone under 18. That's effective March 2026. The FTC settled with Genshin Impact's developer in January 2025 for $20 million over loot box practices that targeted minors. Epic Games banned paid price wheels in Fortnite Creative just days after one game charged $37 for a bundle and 100 V-Bucks per spin. These are not random decisions. The data shows these systems work almost like slot machines. Here's what changed. For decades you bought a game, you played the game. You might get an expansion pack, that was it. DayZ creator Dean Hall said in October 2025 that he is disgusted with gambling mechanics in video games and that Valve does not get anywhere near enough criticism for Counter-Strike 2's loot box economy. Gotta admit, he's right. The model has flipped. You're no longer a customer buying entertainment. You're a revenue stream being psychologically manipulated into repeated microtransactions. When Epic allowed in-game purchases in Fortnite Creative Islands early this year, the popular game Steal the Brainrot immediately added a gambling wheel where players could spin for 100 V-Bucks per try. The backlash was instant. One Fortnite content partner called it a gambling game targeted towards kids who do not know any better. Epic reversed course within a week. But this isn't about one game. EA disabled Ultimate Team Packs in South Korea for FC26 because the country requires exact odds disclosure for every specific card, something EA doesn't want to do. Think about that. They'd rather pull out of an entire market than tell you your actual chances of getting the player you want. With Brazil being one of the biggest football markets globally and Ultimate Team being one of EA's biggest revenue drivers, the March 2026 loot box ban for minors forces EA to either rework their entire monetization model or lose access to millions of players. The criticism isn't new, but the evidence is mounting. Game developers have been challenged to make the data available to universities who are crying out to study this stuff. That is, if they believe gambling mechanics aren't a problem. And here's the thing, they won't do that because the data would confirm what regulators already suspect. Research has found that loot box purchasing is positively correlated with problem gambling severity in multiple published studies. Players with higher problem gambling scores spend more money on loot boxes. Loot boxes are structurally and psychologically similar to gambling because players spend real money on a randomized process where most rewards are contextually worthless, either they're duplicates or inferior items. Here's the worst part, folks. Game publishers know this. In October 2025, a Counter-Strike 2 update caused the cosmetics market to crash, wiping out between $1.75 to $3 billion in value as knife and glove prices plummeted. That is not a game economy. That's a speculative financial market built inside a video game with zero consumer protections. How's this compared to 20 years ago? Well, back then, developers made money by making great games you wanted to play. Nowadays, the working generation, that's you and me, is being pushed to spend money for some cosmetic change in a game that isn't even seen as an upgrade. If a system requires repeated spending for randomized rewards, it uses the same variable reward reinforcement mechanisms that's found in regulated gambling products. Belgian regulators classified paid loot boxes as gambling and prohibited their sale to both minors and adults. That decision was based on consumer protection and gambling harm concerns, not because of entertainment value. And the gaming industry's response? Well, avoid transparency. China requires games to reveal the odds of obtaining certain items in loot boxes. This is to protect players from excessive spending. Most Western publishers fight that requirement every step of the way. The FTC settlement around disclosure and currency clarity in early 2025 set a baseline in the US for what developers must reveal, but enforcement is inconsistent. Here's the reality, folks. When a developer would rather pull their game from an entire country than show you the odds of getting what you paid for, they're not protecting their game design. They're protecting a business model that only works when you don't understand how badly the system is rigged against you. You're not a gamer to these companies anymore. You're a conversion rate, a lifetime value metric, a whale they're trying to hook. The games that respect you as a customer sell you the content directly. No randomness, no psychological manipulation, just a fair transaction. The ones treating you like a slot machine, they're counting on you to not notice the difference. If you want gaming coverage that calls out these practices instead of defending them, that's what this channel does. Consider subscribing and hey, make sure to leave a like. I'll talk to you in the next one. Toodaloos!